leadership is not measured or evaluated on your intent. It's not measured or evaluated or assessed according to your ideas. The quality of leadership is assessed by your outcomes and what you're able to accomplish with the people around you. And that takes action. And so the point being is, what are the actions that are critical for a person to act effectively as a leader? So the big question is, why is there this big fuss and focus around the question of leadership? Why is it such a big thing? And if you do a Google search on leadership, or if you go to Amazon, better still, and do a search for books on leadership, you'll come up with millions and millions of results. And the reason being is because everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got a view. And it's critical for the success of organisations, as we'll investigate a little later. Whether you're in a leadership position or not, the question remains is, why is there such a focus on leadership? Because what's happened in the past is that there is this mixing of thinking around leadership and management. And it's really a question that I have for you, and that is, what would be the differences between management and leadership? Are there differences between management and leadership? What we've got is there are differences between managers and leaders, and what I'd like to do is just share with you what some of those other observations are, just a little more formally perhaps. What we typically find is that managers deal with the status quo, and that is with the here and now and how things are currently, and try to achieve the best results with what they've got. Now, that's absolutely critically important. But if we're wearing the hat of the leader, what we've got is a person who encourages change. And it goes back to that point I made around the qualities of leaders a little earlier, and that is that leaders recognise the need for change. And managers are comfortable with the status quo, but there may be identified a need to actually change what's going on at the moment. What we also have are managers who have a short-term focus. And what do we mean by a short-term focus? It would be anything up to a year. Would be in organisational terms, would be considered a short-term focus, anything up to 12 months. What leaders need is naturally a long-term focus, because what can happen is that organisations can be so focused on the here and now, they don't see what's coming ahead. They don't have an eye on the horizon, and therefore leaders need to have that long-term focus. And it's about, that's one of the characteristics of effective leadership, is that ability to have that long-term focus. They work in the system, do managers. They work in the system, whereas leaders are working on the system. And that is, again, around looking for opportunities to improve what we've got. So managers are able to do the very best they can and do a fantastic job. Those great managers are able to do a fantastic job with the resources they've got, the authorising environment they've got, the systems they have, and the resources they've got access to, whereas leaders are always working on the system and seeing opportunities for improvements in that system, which goes back to that earlier point about encouraging change. But this work on the system doesn't necessarily happen overnight, because they have that long-term focus. There may be a sense that there's no need to change by others in an organisational setting or workplace or your general practice. However, longer term, there may be identified this need to make some changes necessary. Managers react based on the situation and the environment that they find, whereas leaders create opportunities to act. And that's quite different in terms of how we respond to our environment. And we can be reactive, which is absolutely we need to do, based on the set of circumstances we have in front of us. But leaders are always looking to create opportunities to act, to take action in a positive sense. Managers enforce rules. There's policies, there's procedures, there's practices that we need to follow in order to get the job done. And that is absolutely critical to the well-being of an organisation, as well as, in our case, in general practice, the well-being of our patients. We need to follow rules. And what leaders are looking to do is, should the need arise, to change rules. Managers seek and follow direction. And that may be imparted by the environment or the proprietor or the board or whoever is in that position to provide that direction, whereas leaders are looking to actually provide a vision for the future and establish an alignment for that workplace to actually embark on that vision. So Very different, seeking and following direction as opposed to establishing a vision for the future. What we also have, some other differences, managers have very much about controlling the situation. And that's very much part of the definition of management, is to control or contain. And that's very much what managers do, whereas leaders are there to inspire. And what we mean by that is to enable people to look beyond where they are right now and see what the potential is. So we're looking at this difference between managers and leaders, and are there differences between them? Well, I think you would agree that there certainly is. And managers, in conclusion, are instruct and direct, whereas leaders are very much about coaching and empowering other people, the people that are inside their organisation or possibly people outside. They coach and empower people to do their very best.